Like, this is right up my
Great.
alley. So, right, everybody, hello, welcome back. Good morning, good night, good evening. God knows when you're listening to this, but this is the latest episode of the Goose Podcast. I think we're on like episode 30 for the year. It's been a hectic year. And I've got a really fun topic today. So anybody who ever listened has been in schools where we've had the old brick computers in a computer lab, locked off to 3 websites, and it's a terrible, terrible, terrible experience. So I've got a really interesting company today. It's Olive for Education, and with me is Ian. So Ian, hi, nice to meet you.
Hi, John. How are you?
I suppose the obvious question is, who are you? What do you do? Why are we doing it?
As well. Okay. I suppose I started in pubs and bars and restaurants, and I thought I wanted to be like Charlie Chalk or bloody own millions of pubs and hotels. And I worked in those for a long time, which gave me a bit of the gift of the gab, I suppose, for sales, which I slipped into soon after that.
Happens.
And I went into Microsoft on a 6-month contract and stayed there for 12 years. Within that 12 years, I really found quickly that I was drawn constantly to education. I had a great boss in Microsoft, Kevin Marshall, guys called Martin Cullen, where they were really advocates for education and really strong about, how far we were behind across all the skill sectors across the globe, not just in Ireland, and how much all the tools at the time that Microsoft and Google and Apple had that they could bring to the classroom to, inspire the next generation of people that they at the time were hoping would come and work in Microsoft and stuff like that. So I got to become the device guy within Microsoft. And back then, a device went into a kid, went into a school, and they used it for Word or PowerPoint, and they created a document and they shared it and everything was great. And they had a little bit of email, but there was no Teams, no Zoom, none of that was really
the reality of what we actually have to use for life and work when we finish school. Typical.
More Skypey, if you want to go back in time. And then, I grew within Microsoft within that environment. Microsoft transitioned into that massive big building they have in Sandyford right now. And within that, they built a dedicated area for schools called Dream Space, which basically coding and STEM. They brought in kids from all over the country, regardless if you use Microsoft technology or not. And they just basically did all the free stuff that you could do with STEM. So they made life really good for schools and go, look, you don't need budget for this. Here's loads of stuff you can do using resources you have internally for kids to do some coding. And in particular, the focus was on girls to do coding.
Yes.
And that was and that like has stemmed off to what the Dream Space is now, which is a multi-country run by Amanda Joliffe in the Dream Space and her amazing team, where they focused in on Minecraft, which is fun. It's a game, but to kids, it's actually a learning tool as well, because fun things you can do with Minecraft is, John, you can, and this sounds mad, but I wasn't a big fan of school at the time, but if I was in 6th class and my secondary school came in and played a video that the 4th years had created of an actual to size building of my new school, and what would happen when I walk in the door and all the noises, and Mary's the receptionist or John's the receptionist, and the bathrooms are here, and this is the sports hall, and this is where, and I got to experience that through Minecraft. And the Irish room was in Irish, and the maths room had maths on the wall, and the two guys did that. That's what can be done with technology, the device, right? So that's
like, this is a game. Like this is, I think this is something that gets majorly lost, right? I think we get so kind of concerned with like outdated nonsense. It's like, this is a major issue I have with the school system. It's like, bitches, why was I never taught how to set up a company? Why was I never taught how to, I don't know, do my taxes or meal prep? It's like these kind of like life pieces, but they will look at technology and go, oh, that's a game, or that's AI, and this is melting the kids' brains and it's brain rot. It's like, no, we had Lego. We've moved on to a world now which is a digital landscape. So essentially Minecraft, for a great example, is like digital fucking Lego.
And for every school in 4th years going, what am I going to do with these kids for the year, regardless of what they say? There's some amazing 4th year programs across the country, but there's some huge gaps in some of them as well. And one of the things is, what that does is, as a simple thing, it just focuses down on creativity, working together as a team, having a bit of fun, building a building to scale. Jesus, John, if me and you were to try and build a building scale today,
we're going to struggle.
this podcast to go on for a number of months. So, you know, and going into language and stuff like that. So look, that's, and I suppose all that stuff excited me. And then I got more and more engaged over my time in Microsoft, and I grew into the role and I became an account manager, and I basically looked after the breadth business within Microsoft, which is every single school, north and south. Yeah. And that's what I used to work with all the partners. One of the things before COVID, I realized that there was such a lack of support for some of the schools, you know, because the partners that are in the ecosystem or that are across Ireland, they're trying to do everything. So it's like, you know, there's only one shop in Ireland, John, where you probably go in and get a meal, a shirt, a pair of pants, your socks and your underpants, right? And that's Marks and Spencer's.
There we go.
Right. And everything else is a look, you get one thing here and one thing here, but there was very few Marks and Spencer's for education where they were doing everything for them. Sure. So I suppose in a century, I was before COVID going to go, God, I think I've got I know the greatest people that work in education across the land. I've worked with them all. I know where the gaps are from all of the partner ecosystem. I could make this amazing for schools. And I suppose COVID came and the world changed very quickly. And my role just spiraled into getting technology into schools.
Oh, fuck yeah, that's a huge. I'm just after thinking that when COVID happened, kids without access to laptops, tablets, what the hell do we do?
So my job was just to get laptops for the partners from everywhere across the globe, from Dell, anywhere, into these schools through the Microsoft partners. So all they were using it for was, you know, to go on a Zoom call, to go on a Teams call, to go on a Google Apps call, and to be present in the classroom, and then for them to use the tools like OneNote, you know, PowerPoint, back to Word, creating content and learning as they go. And you know, some subjects like maths, John, if you have a really good maths teacher, they can bring anything to life, right? If it's online, offline, front of the class, they can bring the world alive to you because they're just so enthused, and they're performing nearly for you because they're going through, and actually on a PC where a kid can follow through, or it's being recorded and watch back. Maths is a great subject for when you're working from home and stuff like that. You can learn at your own pace.
Maths and TD were my shit in school. Maths, TD, geography, history, they were my 4 subjects. Everything else I was like, I'm not actually interested in. It makes sense now, 20 years down the track, why those were my subjects. But maths is a fascinating one because in a digital world, I remember when I did, this is probably showing my age, like calculator for leaving cert was a fucking deal, an ordeal, or have it.
Yeah.
Like
how do you use it?
Are you mad? It's like that should be a case of like, like for me, maths now should be taught in Excel.
Yeah. I agree. No, I agree. Yeah. And some skills are incredible at this, and some skills are getting there. But look, we went in the journey of COVID. COVID ended, and what do people do when COVID ended? We all sort of stepped back. Unfortunately for teachers, they had to go to school, but for the rest of the world, we tried to stay at home for as long as we possibly could, without going back on the M50 or the N7 or whatever motorway you happen to be on, the N17 or whatever it may be. So, but schools reversed back quickly from what they had learned over COVID and all the supports they'd done back into traditional treatment. There's nothing wrong with that, right? And post that, then I was in Microsoft, and the world had changed a little bit. Microsoft was developing Copilot. Google were coming out with all their Gemini products and stuff like that. And I had an interesting character called Brendan Kavanagh, who was basically the chairman of like 8 or 9 companies across Ireland. That was all very edutech focused. And he was the one that came to me and said, you know what, you should, I'll support you getting this business up and running. I've got loads of products that you could use here. And over a period of 6 months, I made the decision to leave Microsoft and I suppose set up Olive for Education. And we set it up 18 months ago this August. So 17 months ago, actually 17 months ago tomorrow. And we are here today where I've got a staff of 11, and that's about to grow by another 6 over the next couple of months. We're helping schools across the island of Ireland with digital transformation. And I'll tell you a little bit about what we're doing there and what that means in terms of, because it's a sweeping statement, but we'll go into the little bit of nitty gritty of what that means and stuff like that. But basically I had a couple of really cool schools that over my 10 years in Microsoft that I looked after really well, because the principals were just inspiring and they were brilliant. And they, you know what, it wasn't even about, they loved the kids. And they were more, they were the first principals to bring in breakfast clubs, and they were the first principal to, engage in trying to bring technology into the classroom and to spend some money and invest in their teachers by buying them the proper equipment to do their jobs, right? They really went above and beyond, right? Yeah. And I'm not going to call out, because there's so many of them now, and there's so many great principals in the country. And, for me, teachers are amazing, but principals with the shite they deal with, John, it's just incredible. I wouldn't do it for all the money in the world, but they're amazing people, right? And fundamentally at the core, what they do is, okay, they're there to teach kids and to manage a school, but really they're looking after kids. They're responsible for these guys. They feel responsible. You can sense that off them. And some of the principles are just inspiring people. So
I think this is something that gets lost, because it's definitely something I noticed from being just in the football coaching realm. It's like the younger guys on the team, the guys who are 17 and 18, as they start, like, saw him over the men's team. So when the younger guys come in, it's almost like the first year is like, come on, like, we're, this is not what you're used to. You're now going up against grown-ass men. We're going to look after you. And then you have this thing of, like, I've seen a couple of my guys go off to other teams, move up the leagues, and then you find them a year or two later and go, like, how are you getting on? It's like, oh, yeah, I'm playing Premier Ball. And you're like, I'm fucking delighted to, like, I'm sad they left me in the first place. But I suppose it's that similar sense of a teacher seeing a student 3 or 4 years ago.
I went to Newpark Comprehensive on Newtown Park Avenue, right? And I was terrible. Jeez, John. But I had dyslexia, and they supported me through my whole journey within that school. And even the digital leader within that school was a teacher when I was there, and I still to this day look at her and go, Jesus, you must be 2 years older than me. So look, and then we got some of those schools that trusted me to take a shot on me, that were doing one-to-one, to come and work with Oliver Education. They were like, look, you know what, I'm going to give you a shot. What's your idea? What's your plan? So look, our plan at the time was we had a couple of cool products, and we were thinking about STEM, but their motion was just to provide a device to kids that was safe and locked down. And I always go, what does that mean? And whatever. Look, the moral of the story is they're 12-year-old and 13-year-old kids, right? So we provide them with education-focused only devices. So they're not personaed to work for a plumber or to be an electrician or to, I'm a data scientist. They're basically throw them across the room, hardcore machines that have 5-year accidental warranty built into them.
Sure.
That have, full, when the screen breaks, nobody goes bankrupt repairing it. If they lose a pen, they're a tenner to replace. It's like little things like that wasn't in the space, because everything was selling the wrong product, in my opinion, into those schools.
Yeah, it would have been like hopping into a Harvey's or a Curry's and going, right, what do we need?
And parents are looking at a price point and going, and I understand why, especially today when you go shopping in Dunn's or Tesco, but like this thin machine, it's great, and to have all this RAM, but actually, the way we build the machines and set them up is we buy a machine that's a standardized 12.2-inch screen. It's very robust. You can throw it across the room. And if the kid breaks it, the mum doesn't have to pay, or the dad doesn't have to pay, or the granny doesn't have to pay. That is just repaired under that warranty. Now, what that means is, on top of that, so the RAM and all this nonsense that people talk about when they go in to buy a computer becomes irrelevant, John, because what happens is it's actually, okay, we don't allow them to save anything on the machine itself. So we make them save everything into the cloud. That's much safer for everybody. Trust me, when you're dealing with kids, because they'll never lose anything when it's in the cloud. That's point number one. Yeah. And then the second part of it is we make sure that they can't go onto TikTok, Instagram, Netflix, and all those other things, but they can go on to other solutions. So we lock the device down in a manner that when they go home, this is what they look. Every kid will have one of these, right?
Yeah.
That's what they use for their whatever they want to do. But we get them into the sense of this is a work device and this is a safe environment and the school can see what you're doing on this work device. So be very careful what you're looking up, right? So we've got layers of management on those devices. And then, so we rolled all of that out. And then our next step was to go, okay, well, how do we bring these products to life? And how do we ensure that schools like use these products and align to the digital strategy that the government has coming out? So, look, so we launched a whole school, like, I don't know, a whole school solution. It was called the Learning Wallet. We've released that in recent months that we're going out to all the schools in Ireland for. There's 5 key features within that Learning Wallet, which is where the excitement for me is starting to come to life, because you're no longer just selling a device, you're selling a solution that's going to impact the teachers and the kids across that school. So one of the most exciting products for me actually is a product called Life Skills, which basically has thousands and thousands of videos available for kids with assessment on the back end of them. Now, so what's in them? So if I was a 4th year student and I'm looking for a job, I could go on and do a barista course online on life skills, right? Sounds mad, but
no, I get the idea. It's a more tangible.
I want to go and get a job in Insomnia because I need money on Saturday because, you know, mum and dad rightly have said to me, if you want to go out Saturday night with your buddies or go Friday night or go to that, you better get your own cash together. So how do you get yourself ahead and going for a job? You know, we all start somewhere. Well, maybe that little piece on the interview is you've no experience, but you whip out, look, before I came here during the week, I did a barista course. I got the cert. And, you know,
this is fascinating because, like, not everybody is, like, in tune with education. So even for people who are doing, like, the Leaving Cert Applied and stuff like this, you could go get yourself started with, like, a barber's course or, as you said, a barista's course or a hospitality evening program or this, that, and the other. If you have interests that don't necessarily align with it, you know, academic education, you're essentially kind of facilitating opportunity in that
Some
sense.
of the stuff we have, John, is like how to lift weights properly. I know that sounds whatever, but for a kid, yeah, it's ideal. It's and then we have like certificates, assessment, but they can do it at their own pace. They, you know, and it basically, it's a great product for a transition year, but for my opinion, it's a great product for all of the years because it's and the way we set it up, John, it looks like Netflix.
Perfect.
So kids know they
know the dynamic of it.
Build it for a teacher to go, well, that doesn't look like Edco book, or it doesn't look like this book. It looks like we've built it Netflix style, so the kids on their phone or laptop can just go in and go, oh, gym, or, you know, a course, or you know, whatever they want to do. There's thousands of health and safety courses is there as well, and they can just do that. So, like, you know, there are kids that their dads are, you know, and there's not enough of them in this country at the moment. Plumbers, electricians, and these kids can go on and do some of these certifications for those roles and go and help their old man on a Saturday or whatever it may be. So, and it's all self taught. And look, there's a bit of community there.
It makes sense. Like, I was lucky in the sense that I went to Jesuit school. I was in the Crescent College in Limerick, one of the Jesuit education schools. And like, the Jesuit education, they're very good for their whole motto and ethos is you're more than just your academic education. So like, if we wanted to do chess, there was a chess club. If we wanted to get into drama and acting, they were very good for facilitating that. But I know from my other friends who went to like all boys schools and stuff like that, they didn't have like a drama program, so you couldn't learn to sing. If that was your kind of vibe, you'd have to do that outside of school. And then there's so many layers to this where it's like everybody's slightly different. And if you're 60 and you're going to college, you need something in the back pocket so that you can, like, a bit of bar work, a bit of cooking work. Like, I worked in fucking Burger King to pay for college. You know what I mean? I'm fairly certain if I had like a little skill set, like a plumbing piece, I'd probably rather do that on a Saturday because it would pay me more than melting my fucking jaws off every day standing in the Burger King kitchen.
The Burger King, yeah, and me serving 1 billion people lunch on a Saturday had some advantages, but tips wise and all that, I realized quickly if you had a bit of voucher, you get a few bob and tips. So I was always good at that. But look, it gives them real world skills, and I think that could be used and should be used across it, and doesn't have to interfere with what goes on in the classroom. So there is years like transition year where this product can be used and teachers can look and cycle and see what the kids are doing on it. But then it also give other years the ability to go in and go, actually, I do want to learn about this product or learn how to lift. Actually, I want to get fit because I want to join the rugby team and I want to get from the B's to the A's or the hurling team. So I'm actually I need to build myself up. So I'm going to do this little thing on lifting weights or how to improve my structure or my back or how I stand. All of those things are there, and they're little things that, you know, and they're better than looking at it on YouTube, because actually what's on Life Skills is properly done and created.
And once you get that little tick, you have that satisfaction moment of, I now have that skill. Like, I remember when I was growing up, my education in life was my granddad's shop. We'd have been fucked in there on a Saturday when my mum went and did her shopping. He owned a jewelry business, so we would go in and do learn watch repairs and link damage. And that was me at 10 years of age. That was our childhood, was learning those hard skills, so that let's say if I ever end up without a job, I can go down to a jewelry shop down the Crescent, I can hop up to Dublin into Tallaght Square, whatever, and go, I got this here. And I do it every Christmas. Just now, even nowadays, it's this, and this is, I think, a piece of it. It's that love of work, if you get me, that it's almost that thing of, I'll get that reward for getting that badge, getting that thing. Now I can go out and use it in the real world. And if I ever need it later, I have it. So there's so many, I love this, because I've been bitching for years that CSP, home ec, they're outdated. They should probably be merged into a life skills type class. And your product's essentially covering that by the sounds of it.
Yeah, but home ec is exciting as well. So I think home ec is changed. So if you think about it, a kid with a device now, the difference versus the home ec when me and you did it in school, when we definitely didn't have a device or a phone, definitely didn't have a phone either, was that now they can record their journey as they make the lasagna and go home and rewatch it in the real and remake it themselves at home a lot easier than potentially a school may think. Because if you go in and make a lasagna and the ingredients are on the board and you've brought it in, fine, and you've thrown it together and you're working at a team. But actually, if you want to go remake that ingredients or remake that at home, I'd suggest you're going to make an absolute balls of it. But if you had recorded how you did it in the home ec room, I think you're going to nail that lasagna and serve it properly. So
it's that thing of, you can stand there like with your mother or father and go, all right, I learned how to make this lasagna today. Cool. And here's the video of how we made it.
When you're sitting in college on your own with no money.
Oh, fuck me, man. Oh, don't even get me into that. Like, the only reason I'm still alive now is because I worked in Burger King. That paid for my food.
That's your food. So look, and that's one amazing side of the product. Then the other one, which we love, is look, it's a bit more of a fun product actually, for the whole school and for the leadership. But look, it's like a safe WhatsApp or a safe social media platform that's restricted to the school. So it's called Socialise. Actually, a famous hurler in Kilkenny called Walter Walsh has just actually taken over Socialise. The CEO, actually, he's quite an interesting character. He's the nicest fella you'll ever meet. Now, you wouldn't want to go to war with him because he's around 12 foot tall and you'd have to walk around him 2 kilometers. But he's taken over Socialise. But I have Socialise as an element of the learning wallet, right? And within basically it's a branded location for schools to communicate with parents, but more importantly, so Don, there's guys in school who want to do what you do. They want to create podcasts and they want to be social media, experts, and they want to run a radio show in the school, and they want to be the guys at the side of the pitch interviewing the hurling team after they've had a match and putting it up, but they know where to go with that.
I'd love to have been able to do that in school. I learned this by myself in my 20s.
So one of the things that Socialise allows is it's a digital space for schools that's locked into the school environment, that they invite people in who can see what's going on. So as an example, if you're a parent that travels a lot with work and you're in the UK and your kid has a match, you could watch that match on Socialise as it's live streamed from the side. Or if there's a play on on a Friday night in the school, on a Thursday night, and you just can't do it because of work commitments or something else, or the other two kids had to go somewhere else, you can actually rewatch that on Social Ties. I know
My head is spiraling with ideas here.
Like, that's incredible. And that's, but it's a safe Spotify or a safe, that kids at that age should, they all use those other products, but it's a safe environment for them to be in. You don't have anyone else watching the rugby team or watching the other guy. It's all locked down into this Social Ties app.
There's so many offshoot avenues. Like, if you're not the guy who likes playing sports, like, for example, I've obviously explained to you outside of this, my other thing I do is a fantasy football game. My co-founder over there is a data nerd. He only watched his first game of football last year, and we've been playing this game ourselves for like 8, 9, 10 years even now. He watched his first game of actual live soccer last year. But again, if he was 15, 16 and we were and you had that video of a game, he could basically have done the manipulation that like a stats sports do and go, right, I'm going to count how many times X passed the ball and I'll get their pass percent. And now you're training that like data analytics and that real-time analysis.
It's not even that. It's even, this product as well is another product that kids can get involved with in the school. So, actually, I don't want to play hurling because I think it's boring and I don't like rugby and but I want to record that game because I want to be that guy in Sky Sports or whatever it is. So there's an element of bringing everyone together to do this.
It's a school engagement piece. You don't necessarily have to be the rugby player. Like, the comp was a rugby school. If you didn't play rugby, you weren't in the crowd. If you get who cares? But in school you cared. So it's like, right, well, I can be the music producer for the play. I can be the announcer
down of the 1 hour hurling game to 12 minutes and share it on the social platform.
I could actually pull out key plays for the coaches, or I could do the social media. I fucking love this because it's giving kids tangible skills that they can drag out into their life after. And from a school perspective, I'm sure this is brilliant for like school engagement.
We're bringing it to schools, but schools are excited about it. Like, it's interesting. I thought they were going to be excited about the other two products I haven't talked about, but actually they're not. They're actually the community element, the communicating with parents, the getting the kids involved all up across multiple different sports and in different ways, that ability to be able to do those courses, as I said, and then this social media safe platform is much better than sending something out in WhatsApp where someone by mistakes puts in the wrong type of video into a WhatsApp group and all this sort of other stuff goes wrong on these things. So it's just, and it's mediated, but you can mediate. Like, the fun thing here is, like, one of the things you can do with all these products, and this is I learned this from actually a school, Clare Galway, who did this. They were one of the first schools in Ireland to go one-to-one long time ago. And I remember taking an idea off them and running with it across Microsoft, across the globe with it, and sharing it with other people who cared. They had 200 devices land on top of them for first year students, right? And they were like, Jesus, how are we going to manage these? Because at the time, there was like, we got 200 devices. They weren't in the lockdown the same way they are today, right? The way we do it.
It's all manual. Each laptop had to be signed in, each one. Now we have cloud security. Thank God.
Yeah. What they did was they actually did an interview process, put a job up on the board for extra merits or extra whatever for kids to come along and apply to be the tech leads within the school. And they gave them a little office in the school. And at lunchtime for, 4 days of the week, these guys and girls were in there working on shifts, doing the break, doing the things and helping kids with anything they had wrong with the device.
Almost like a little, the Apple expert table. I think I love this.
And I think I was like, this is brilliant. But I think all of these products brings all that to the reality in a really simple, safe way. And anyway, it's just. I think the same process can happen with the recording of the match, where you go to your across the school, who wants to be the guys who record all our rugby matches or all our hurling matches and our basketball matches. What's that team look like? And like, that is the best. That's the fella I'll hire, because he's got to come out with some serious life skills. But so that's it's exciting, and I love that side of it. And the kids, they really, when they use that type of product, they'll come to life, So, and they can, I think it's brilliant. The other product we have, which is look, I actually thought schools would love it, and they do love it, but I think the kids are going to love it more. It's with AI Pro. Basically, I'll tell you what, it's an AI program that allows kids to, so for me, with my dyslexia, I used to always have a problem telling a story or how I articulate it on paper, right? So what Fit AI Pro does is it allows you to take a Word document or a story offline, or even you writing down 12 or 13 bullet points of what's in your head, putting a picture in, and it will turn that into a video story for you within like 30 seconds.
Okay.
And you can customize it to look in a particular, so there's set customs within that, colors, brand it, whatever you may be. So what that means is, how do I say how I'm feeling? Well, maybe my best way to tell you how I'm feeling is through the art of video. And how do I tell a story about what I learned today in school? Well, I didn't want to be able to write that down, but I could probably deliver a great story on video to you and articulate it really well at the top of the classroom about what I learned today.
Yeah.
And that changes how teaching and learning should be in a school, because you have to cater for everyone's needs. So there are
Isn't it something that there's 4 different types of I think it's something like this. It's like there's 4 different types of ways you can learn. It's like through visual, through written, through verbal, or so above my head, but yeah.
No, and this is what gets you to all those places, because kids learn. I want to be able to stop, replay, watch again, learn from all those things. I use all the accessibility tools that are on my device here every day. I'd be lost without them. Apple, Microsoft, Google. So look, it just, and again, look, projects as well. So if you think about, you're doing a project in school and you want to bring an element of okay, well, we've done a synopsis about what the project was about and what we're doing, and here's our learnings from that in the video, and they just do it into bullet points, or they write a script and send it in that creates that video. But you're not putting it into you're putting it into a safe AI that's locked down in an ecosystem, rather than one that may go out somewhere randomly mad across the world or the internet. So I think that's going to create digital skills for the future for those kids, especially going into college where it's very different, and going into work environment again. I think all of those things are key. And I do like Fit AI Pro. I think it's going to be I think it's an exciting product, and I think that students are going to be excited by that, because they'll be able to tell their stories in different ways. So, and I think
it's also great. There's also this element of AI right now is obviously the big buzzy word in the tech space. I'm actually very happy we got to 29 minutes in this podcast before we mentioned the word AI. I think that's a record for the year, to be honest with you. It's everywhere, but the fear factor that's in the background of, oh my God, it's going to take our jobs. Oh my God, it's going to be the thing that kills humanity. Jeffrey Hinton, the guy who actually made AI in the first place, I've actually met him before at an event. Fascinating dude. Left Microsoft, or was it Google? Can't remember. I think it was Microsoft, in order to literally talk about the safeguarding around AI and making sure we put in rules and regulations around it. So I think this idea of being able to actually teach kids how to use AI properly, because it's not something, AI at its base is a tool for us to get quicker, faster, better at doing tasks that we're going to do anyway. Like, I know how to answer an email. I'll tell the AI how to answer my email, but my spelling can be crap, or my syntax, or my tone sometimes.
They don't know the prompts. They don't understand what a prompt is, or how do you prompt AI to write something in a particular way for you. And all these learning tools are there where they'll learn all that quickly and figure it out themselves on a self-paced, in a safe place. And I think that makes so much sense. It's because AI ain't going away. And I can actually understand why, of the products, that one's probably the one where the schools automatically go, because they're all going to do their homework through the AI. It's like, no. We did this with Wikipedia when we were in college. We'd copy a paragraph and rewrite the sentence and go, instead of I went to school today, it's to the school today I went. We all did it. Kids are smart. They will find ways to cut corners if we can. We all did it. Let's be honest about it. So a tool there, and let's teach them how to use something that they're going to use in college. They're going to end up using in work. AI ain't going anywhere. The rabbit's out of the hat. So let's teach them how to use it correctly and responsibly. Because guess what? We didn't do it with social media. And look at the problems now. Yeah, but even like we've got nearly 10,000 machines in the market this September, and it's a skill set kids have to even jailbreak these devices, like the one or two that get through. And we've learned so much from the kids because the genius.
Hire them to figure out how we break it.
And then we take all their fit breaks and we make our build better and lock it down again, because ultimately everything's not as secure as. But yeah, it's great, and those kids help us actually make the product better as well. So there's a lot to be said for that. Then the other product we have is
the computers. You jailbreak it so you get Sky Sports or YouTube. But
yeah, it doesn't jailbreak for long though, because the way we have it set up, that jailbreak, poor fella, we get a notification instantly and his machine is locked down. But that's unfortunate for them. But at the same time, I always admire those lads and chaps. So to be honest with you,
these are the guys are in the future that it's almost like the guys in Vegas, like, oh, you hacked our coin machines. Yeah, all right, come here. We're not going to send you to prison. Tell us how you did that. And we're like,
yeah,
do you know what I mean? There's a route to work here, guys.
Yeah. I had a strange bar manager back in the day who very nice guy, but he used to show people how to rob a bar on the basis of, I know if you're going to rob me, I know what you've done here, sort of job. So I was like, this is the weirdest thing ever. So he used to, that's how you rob a bar and all this sort of stuff. And I was like, Jesus, you can't. But he was trying to do the jailbreak in advance and tell lads, I know what you're up to here, or I'm wise to what you guys are up to.
Now I know your tricks, that ones you're looking out for. So yeah.
Look, and then the last product we have, well, we've more products to come across them and Minecraft, but the biggest impact product for skills is tutorials, which is basically 2,000 plus on-demand videos for higher, for Leaving Cert. It's got basically every subject covered, and they're like, I'm going to say, TikTok-y little snippets of doing maths and building a volcano, what a volcano looks like in the inside, and physics, to learning all about the curriculum. It's a very flexible way of learning, I suppose, is the way to say it, John. It's got built-in, there's quizzes in it, there's tracking in it, there's ability to keep rewinding and watch your maths again. So the flipped classroom comes into this place. So really, if a teacher goes on a board and puts down, maths and does maths and rubs it out, you're like, oh my God, it's gone forever and I don't have that picture. But now they can give the homework and the kids can go and watch it on the device and re-watch what the end goal is multiple times to get to the correct answer, and to show how they got there. It's much easier for kids to learn this way. And it doesn't matter what learning discipline you have, to be able to stop, pause, go into a OneNote or go onto your Google Apps and re-watch those videos constantly till you get it into your head, and even go back a step even further if you think you've lost the ability of, oh God, I'm completely stuck here, I need to go back 3 phases, right? That it's really simple for them to do it. And they're not doing it in a classroom where they look bloody at it. They can do it.
There's always that thing in school of you don't want to be the one to put your hand up and ask the question, because one, everybody else is like, the goody two-shoes asking questions, or vice versa. It's like, shut up.
We would call it, the teachers, I would call it a flipped and blended learning model, which basically flipping the classroom is just, I believe from a lot of the skills I work with in secondary skills, that the day of a teacher standing at the top of the board are gone. They're more in the middle of the classroom now. And the device allows them to see what's going on. So one of the things we offer a teacher, John, which is it wouldn't be great now, avoid a device and skill, no matter what it was locked down as. But basically, we have a product that the teacher can see all 30 screens in front of him or her, right? And they can see what that allows a teacher to do in a classroom scenario is, you'll see the 10 kids, John, that are pounding away through the course, right?
Yeah.
But you'll see the 2 kids that are struggling in the classroom. And without making mincemeat of them in the classroom, or without making them feel that you can have a gentle word to them, or you can send a message through Teams or Google Apps to them and go, look, this is where you're going wrong here, and the rest of the class is none the wiser.
Yeah,
And
so it's more private. Yeah, I remember this is that. Oh fuck me, that reminds me of some trauma.
what are you doing? And you're like, Jesus, yeah.
Because like I was good at maths, right? So I used to get murdered by the teacher, quadratic equations. Like, how'd you get the answers? It makes sense to me. Go away. Like my answer was right. Like, yeah, but you didn't follow the process. And I'd be like, I followed a process. And this goes to here, and this goes to here, and this makes sense to me. And it's like, that's fine. But I'd go into the Irish class, and the teacher would just be at the top.
Yep. Yeah.
And I'd zone out. And when she asked the question, I'd be like, what? So like, I lost you 15 minutes ago. Why didn't you stop me? Because there's no point trying. There's no stopping you when you go. And now I'm having an argument with the teacher because she's like, well, you weren't listening. Like I was, but I lost track. And
well, even if you're sick, John, and you're genuinely sick, you're sick from, not sick from, oh, Jesus, I stayed up at 2 a.m. watching whatever, or you're genuinely sick and you're at home. It also allows all these products allow you to keep up with the class and see what's going on. It's just that's also, and they can, and it's self-paced, and like regardless of what we think about kids nowadays, they want their different generation to previous generations, and they want to watch things and learn things in their own way, and they want to absorb information in different ways to the way we do. So all these products allow them to do it in multiple different ways, and that's all. And with when we wrap in the Microsoft, the Google solution into all of these products, I just know I'm delivering the best. I'm creating digital citizens. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
We're creating, an A to Z for everything potentially a school could need for teaching and learning. But past that, we're building a sense of community within schools. We're helping kids learn at their own pace. We're supporting them on learning different solutions around life skills that just weren't there before and aren't there in a safe environment. And I think that's one thing, on all the schools, and we've doubled our skills for this year. And from what I see, we're going to double our skills for next year. And we're growing the team constantly. So it's an exciting time for Olive. But it's exciting time for schools, because I know it's not there yet, but the new leaving cert that's coming out, etc., it will get there. And this type of product just nails that solution for the schools without them having to reinvent the wheel.
It's future focused. Like it makes so much sense. Let's bring. I couldn't fathom it myself even when I was in school. Like it was like, why are we learning from like an education system that's feels 30, 40
or
years
John, left behind glass, even worse.
Yeah,
that's even like all the products we've brought to market have got life in them, and we have created them. They all in Netflix style. They do look like that, and that's what the kids wanted. The TikTok video to be able to go in and go, right, okay, so I'm not going to die here for watching this maths teacher talk for 12 minutes. He's straight into the point. There's a 60-second snippet. I can live with this. Yeah, and that's what kids are. You know that from what you do. It has to be there. It has to be on demand. It's no longer the RT News is on at 6 o'clock, and if I miss it, I'm dead.
I had this argument with my nephew literally ago. He's only 7, and he was talking about they've gotten into Pokemon and stuff like this. I was like, buddy, I saw that episode the night it came out. He's like, how are you? Like, this is I was like, don't even get there to me. It was like, if you weren't sitting at the TV at 7 o'clock, because he couldn't understand the part at the break where it was like, why does it do this? I was like, oh, that was an ad break. He was
like, what?
I was like, yeah, but if you weren't at the TV at 7 o'clock,
dead.
Everybody watched it at 7 o'clock on Sunday.
The Simpsons was the one for me in school. Did you see The Simpsons? Oh, it's just a bit, because there was no +1.
Yeah, this is what I was trying to explain to him. It was like you couldn't go onto Netflix or YouTube and get it back. It was like YouTube, buddy, wasn't made until YouTube was made 10 years before you were born. And he's like, just couldn't understand. I was like, I didn't have my first phone until I was twice your current age. Why? Because they weren't there.
Yeah. And it was a huge thing with a big bloody
like my first smartphone was a Nokia 3310.
Yeah.
3310 with all the buttons mashed together and stuff like that. And he's just like, I don't understand you. And I'm like, oh, bless.
Everything
makes
has to
sense.
change.
We're essentially
You know what?
using...
The scary thing is, John, the leaving cert and the junior cert really, the exam itself hasn't changed in that since we were in school, which is the shocking part.
It's shocking. Like, I really like the idea of this. So, like, right, let's say, like, talk me through, like, the onboarding process. I'm a principal of a school, right? And I'm like, oh, fuck, I feel like we're a little outdated here. We need to modernize. What do I do?
So it's scary for a principal who's never done this before, right? So one of the things
they're going to be on the older side as well. So
you'd be
computers and
stuff.
Surprised,
John. Sure. You'd be surprised. And normally, like, there's a deputy or a principal that wants to pull the gauntlet, or an ICT lead within the school, right? And they're not equipped or resourced really to do it, because one of the things I think schools forget is they're basically businesses, right? Mini businesses. When you pull away from what their core job is, it's a business that they have to operate. And what we do is we take away all that pain for them so they can focus on the teaching and learning. But where do they start? So where I like them to start is, instead of getting a boring presentation, I think they should go and visit, and I encourage principals to go and visit other schools who have used technology in the classroom for the last 5 years and 10 years. And to actually not get, one of the things I make sure schools know is the reality of bringing in hardware into a school, and that it's not all buckets of roses and everyone's going to have champagne. There's challenges with this, and we are there to support the school on those challenges. But they need to be prepared themselves, because you need to make sure your teachers are trained and equipped before you just throw in 200 laptops in front of them. Otherwise, this fails as well, right? So we support all of that mechanism. And when a school comes to us and go, I want to go 1-to-1 in September, why? Well, the new digital curriculum. Well, what about your teachers? Have they got a device? Have you invested in them? Have they got CPD? Have you spoke to IJA about this? And it's just well, the school down the road is doing it. Yeah, but the school down the road have been thinking about doing this for 3 years, right? Yeah. So I always encourage them to go and talk to school leaders without us in the room that have done this journey, and to understand the pitfalls of that. And anyone that says otherwise and they can do everything for school, it's nonsense, right? So I'm a real believer in that. And there's some amazing schools in the country that have just nailed this, and that's where you go and learn, because why reinvent the wheel, as I keep saying. Then what we do is we sit down with the school and we explain to them, okay, what we do. So what the device equals versus what else is out there. So we talk about why this device, and then we get them over the whole, okay, so there's no extra cost to the parents. It's an upfront payment fee, but there's no insurance products and there's no incidentals that are not necessary around this. Once you pay, the device is locked down, it's safe, it's managed. And if the parents have a problem, they call us, not you. And that's the gift. So that we, the parents or the kids, we put codes on the machines where they can just QR code over to us, and we can fix the problem for them. We can replace the device. All of that's done, so the school doesn't need to worry about that. That's one of our key points on top of the technology and on top of the solution that we have, that we offer the school. So we're taking all of that pain away from them. And then we support the school on the journey for the whole transition they go through. And we bring
the digital transformation, essentially.
Yeah. So last year, for example, we rolled out 5,000 units. This year, we're going back to those 5,000 units, and we're updating those devices with all the things we learned over the last 12 months. That stuff would never have happened with any of the other education partners in the market. It would happen if they were a commercial partner, like selling into a business. They would do that just as normal. But we've made that the norm within the system, that, okay, these are kids, they need to be locked down, needs to be safe, we need to check what they're doing. So we're constantly innovating and updating and making sure the devices are safe. Then we would open up a store, of which, unfortunately, at the moment, there is an ICT grant within schools and there's book grants, but there's not a grant for a device where, and well, there's not enough money given as normal for this type of product within a school. And then the products that the department, or the solution the department want the schools to use, actually require a device, but yet they don't want to, there's
money in the device in the first.
So again, the Irish way, the parents get to hike a lot of this bill. Now, some schools use their book grant to put towards the solution, as in the wallet side of it, and they go out and get the parents to buy. But we flexible. Look, we open a store. We don't give choice either, John. And why we don't give choice, and sometimes parents on the outset miss this. It's the school's decision on the partner and the device they use and what the products they do that enhance the teaching and learning within the school. And we're there to support them on that journey. But what parents miss is the devices all need to look the same. Every kid needs to have the same looking device, the same case, the same charger. Otherwise, it needs to look like a school uniform scenario. That is.
I was literally going to say, it's like they understand it from the school uniform, so why should the...
And you can't, because if you let kids you'd have some fella bringing in €1,000 MacBook and some more fella bringing in a device that is older than me, and it wouldn't start up in the classroom. And then what happens with that scenario is the devices don't get used, because if they're not all on the same platform and the same version of everything, sharing, working together, managing the devices, it's impossible. You can't manage a device that's not enrolled in the ecosystem. So, and you can't enroll or bring your own device into that system. So,
well, I think that makes sense as well, because there's this, like, the things I'm into, I have to spend decent money on a laptop. But like my mate, who is a teacher, his laptop costs a third of mine, because he doesn't need the graphics card. He doesn't need the processing power. He needs it to be fit for purpose. And essentially, it's almost like most of these parents probably work in an office where they've been supplied a laptop from the company. So they should be aware of this from their own workplaces, going, you're not going out to the shop and buying your own laptop.
As well. They're looking at the spec, John, and go, no, it's not about the spec, because everything's in the cloud. So, and why it's in the cloud, because if you allow them to save here and do this here, the machine is going to topple over and it's not safe, and they're going to lose their work. So that's all the stuff that we make sure. Now, we do parents' evenings and bring the parents in, but you know yourself, they've also had a horrible day at work. They've had to feed the kids before they go into the school at 7:00 at night. They're like, what does the school want from me here? Have I to listen to this? And they're looking at the clock going, I've got 2 kids at home. I need to leg it now, make sure they're not killed each other. So there's an element of rush within that as well. So, but you notice after year 2 with the one-to-one for the principals, it's a breeze. They're able to stand up and just tell, so convincingly, and rightly so, about what's this done to the school and how it improves the kids and how it improves their teaching and learning, that it's easy. But it's that first year and that's why I always, again, look, guys, you're the school. You've to tell the parents about why you feel this is going to add to how their kids learn. And we'll provide the solution on the technology and support you on that. And then we do offer payment plans for parents, so they can pay over X amount of time. They don't have to pay all up front for the devices. We have home 0% built into the store where required. So there's lots of ways to build out and pay. And a lot of schools bring in their local credit union, which is brilliant, because
what's the average cost, if you don't mind me asking?
So it depends on the device you're going. It can go anywhere from $16.99 a month all the way to $32.99 a month for the 2 years, 3 years. So, gotcha. But that device will do you for the test of time. And then when you leave school, John, what we do is when you're in 6th year and your leaving cert starts, we automatically unenroll that device from all management. You keep the piece of data you want on it, and then they can go watch Netflix or use it as
your personal laptop. Then at that point,
or Chromebook flex it, or do what they want to bring it to college and use that again, or have it as a device at home. But they can reuse that device, and we have no management over it, and they're completely freedom.
Well, because I know, the first expense I had when I went to college was a laptop, because I did product design in college. And we were sent out a spec sheet of, here's the minimum spec sheet that you need for a laptop. It cost me $2,000 on top of the college fees. So my first year of college cost me nearly $5,000 before I walked in the door.
But now cloud allows you to have a much better experience on a low end device.
Yeah.
Because you don't need the compute power necessarily.
If I had something even going in, the programs we would have been using at the time, you would have been using Adobe Illustrator, this, that, the other. A lot of the time, Canva and stuff now anyway, so it's all whatever, or Adobe Spark, all online based. So we wouldn't need the spec that we would have then. But as you said, for some guys in the college as well, they were on grants to be there. They were on a scholarship to be there. They didn't necessarily have $2,000 to go drop on a high spec, high octane machine. So you had lads who were looking at buying secondhand. You had lads that were like going on Dundee and getting somebody's old machine and wiping it. And like we figured it out. But if I had a laptop coming through school and going, look, this is at least going to do me in first year.
You'll get through that first stage of getting your point. Yeah, I agree. And you know what, Canva, John, that's an interest. That's free now for schools.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Well, it makes sense because it means that like guys who are like art could be art, but you can also have digi art because you can have people who are going to get into graphic designing. Like, I do like where the education space is going. We're finally figuring out that, guess what? There's a world outside of a box.
Yeah.
So can we not just teach theoretical nonsense and actually give useful life skills? Like, I'd love business to change to more how to do business. I'd love maths to be more like, I don't understand the difference between maths and applied maths. It should just be maths. Because if you're doing maths, it should be about
how that's you skill and the teacher's fault. That's the guidelines they.
No, but this is exactly what I mean.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I mean, and you're seeing that now starting to come through. Because, like, for me, maths, it makes it. We would have always said in school, "Why are we doing this?" It's like, but if it was brought to real life situation, going, well, if you're going to be a builder, you'll need to know how much water can get through this pipe, or at what point this thing is going to explode, or cool, let's go over here to business. Like, now you know a bit about accountancy. Okay, do you know how to set up a company so that you can run your own accounts? Or
do you know what cash and the revenue commissioners is?
Well, like, I only when I left work a year ago to do this stuff full time, I learned the word burn rate.
Oh god,
34, nearly 35, and I only heard the word burn rate a year ago.
Yeah, I've had harsh reality of that as well. Yeah.
Like, what do you mean burn rate? It's like, how fast are you spending money? I'm like, oh, why was I not taught this in 6 years of business school?
Yeah.
But like, I like the way it's going, and this is where businesses like yourself, like, it's perfect opportunity. And I think if there, like, as horrible as COVID was, if there was any positive to come out from it, is that reality of the digital space and the digital world. So now we have to fast track getting to that point where we understand and accept that we live in a digital space now. That's our world. So why?
Yeah, do you know what? Even though they have a device, there's a perception that they're using it for the 7 hours a day. They're not. It's a flipped classroom. So, you know, they may go in and use it for certain subjects that are where they're recording something, as in home economics or buildings, or they're recording how they're doing something metalwork and woodwork, and then annotating on top of that video about why they did this. So, and then you've got the subjects where a maths teacher might want them to watch something on a video and then pause that screen and pay attention to them and why that video makes sense and what the homework is for tomorrow. So that's what a flipped sort of model looks like a bit. So it's interesting. And then they're you know, these batches, they just last all day. These devices, they don't need to be worrying about charging them and all that nonsense. So it's ideal. But like, I do think skills have changed. Like, one of my favorite skills, and I shouldn't have a favorite skill, but we all have favorite something. But one of my most favorite skill last year that I went and did a deployment in was Step Aside, Educate Together in Sandyford, right? It's a very modern skill, so they're very fortunate, right? But it's when you walk in the school, you feel it's a safe environment. You can tell instantly it's a caring environment. It's a happy environment. The kids are there. They love it. You just know. And you can sense that across the schools in Ireland, how amazing they are and the amazing work they do. And I always challenge people, you know, that look and see what we do. But what we do is we do bring subjects to life, and we do help schools, you know, create content and to be better and to support them on that journey, on the digital transformation journey. But like, look, it's also a needs-based piece for teachers where they can use these products and really see better outcomes. And we are seeing that on the feedback we're getting. So that's, look, yeah. And like on the team, I'm very lucky with the team I have. I've got Fintan, who worked with me in Microsoft. He basically 10 years of techie, just doing all the safety features around the devices and making sure everyone's in a safe environment. And then Gary and the sales team there and the customer success managers. So how we do it is, John, when we go into a school and we get them on the journey and they've gone and met the other principal and they've decided to do this, we also don't just leave them. We've got a customer success manager who then takes up the gauntlet and then communicates with them and shows them all the new features and the training and what's next and helps them with any queries and problems and updates them with what's gone wrong and what's gone right.
Devices, yeah, that makes sense.
So it's important. So all that stuff is stuff we do that I just felt wasn't in the marketplace done properly.
I would agree. Like, I've definitely seen over the last 12 months the edutech space has moved fast, and that's obviously to do with this new regulation coming in. Like, I've seen a lot of companies popping up. I've seen a lot of and it's very much about this tech-driven schooling, whether that's like interactive whiteboards, whether that's digital grinds, whether that's like SNA services. There's so many different avenues.
The world, John, has changed even on digital grinds and changing the way education thinks. Parents don't want to be driving kids off to do a thing anymore. They just don't have the time with scope, and
there's too much on. There's too many things. There's just too many things. Because, like, let's say I remember me when I was in school. It was a case of, like, I played for the school soccer team when I couldn't play rugby anymore. I stayed with the soccer because injuries and shit. But anyway, I needed to do chemistry grind because I just had no interest in the subject. But that clashed with football.
Oh,
but I was playing for the school team, but then I was also playing for my local club, and it was a case of, well, you have to go to the grind, and like, yeah, but now I'm not going to play for the school team because I'm missing one of the 2 nights of training. So it was that knock-on effect. Whereas if I was told, great, go to training, but you are absolutely doing your hour grind when you get home from it, like, I'd have stood there.
Parents get feedback that if you did it as well, they know. Yeah. Like, so it's.
But I'd have been the person to put my hand up and go, okay, yes, I promise. If you let me go training, I will do the grind the second I come home. Please don't make me go into that smelly building in town for 2 hours.
Yeah, but that's what life skills and tutorials is. It allows the kids to do that without worrying about. It eliminates all those needs for all those things. They just can go and back in and learn at their own pace and support. If they are playing football and they want to log on their phone and watch it on the way home at the back of the car, whatever it needs to be, and go into their bedroom and write up what they need to do for their homework. That's an ideal solution.
Go on. I've only 2 questions left because I know we're hitting good time. The other 2 questions are obviously, one, what's the long-term plan for Olive? And the other question being, is there anything that we haven't covered that we feel like you should?
What's the long-term plan for Olive is keep an eye on our website, oliveforeducation.ie, and follow us on social media, especially if you're a teacher. We have Teacher Thursdays coming, which is where we're going to send out little snippets of best practice from other schools and best practice on using Microsoft and Google and all those products. So tiny little sort of snippets of programs we're doing, and we started. That first one came out last week. They're all available on our social media. We are creating tons of content at the moment for schools to use for teachers around training so how to use Teams properly in an education space, OneNote to get the best out of it, how to record screens and how to use instant playback and all those sort of things with Google Apps as well. We're doing all of that. We are going to possibly have going into Northern Ireland as well. But at the moment, it's just basically launching the wallet, which we've done now, and going out in September and telling every school in the country about it. And hopefully they look at life skills and look at tutorials and Video Pro and go, okay, it's not about the device anymore. It's about this whole ecosystem. And actually this fits across everything I want my kids to be and have access to.
This makes so much sense. I think this is going to go places, to be fair. I think this is a space that's been in sore need of attention for a long time. Like, I remember when I was in school, there was a new secondary school being built, and their big selling point was every kid gets a laptop. That didn't happen until like 4 years ago. So like I was long out of college even by the time they actually could fulfill their commitment. So I love this because like this is stuff that I know myself that when I was in school I would have been all over, and I know I'm not alone in that. Like education the way it is or the way it has been isn't for everybody. So like if you're a teacher, if you're a principal, if you're an ICT lead for a school, where will these guys find you, reach out to you?
Well, we go to every single educational conference. We're proud to say we're a main sponsor of the NAPD this year, which is the National Association of Principals and Deputy Principals. It's a great organization, and all the principals gather for a little bit of socialization, but more importantly to learn from each other and to get some keynotes in and to learn about what's coming within the system. And that's in Galway in October, and we'll be there at that. On our website, you've got the ability to request a meet with us. And in general, look, through your local ETB, we've made contact with ETBs to reach out to schools as well. We also are going to be at the ACCS conference, which is the Association of Community and Comprehensive Schools. But we're widely available on alloforeducation.ie, where you can reach out to us, and one of our team will reach out and do a bit of an inspiration session on the art of what's possible. And more importantly, we'll send you to meet some of our schools that work with us, and for them to tell you the story about how we've supported them and how the story works both ways.
No, I love this. Like most of our listeners are probably going to be parents of people in school. So guess what, guys? Here's the drill, right? If you think your school is behind the curve in terms of technology, now is the chance. If you've listened to the podcast, I'll get an article up on the website. Bring this to a teacher in the school, bring it to the principal, show them that there's a bunch of schools already onboarded here. It's a system that works. Be a proactive parent, I suppose. Go to the school and go, I want my kid getting a proper technological education, because guess what, guys? This is the world we live in now. So that would be my pitch on it.
No, and that's great. Yeah, no, and I agree with you completely. And it's not even about career or about the school anymore. It's about what's next, community, careers, all that other stuff. Yeah. There's so much.
So no, I think it's class. From my side, this has been really fun. Like people would say education tech is boring. I think there's so much scope in this. I think there's the fact that we're actually bringing devices to schools and going, right, we're going to get this right. I love it. So Ian, thanks so much for coming today.
Thanks for having me, John.
We're obviously from our side, we're on Spotify, we're on YouTube, we're on all of the social media platforms other than that the artist formerly known as X. We don't live over there anymore.
That's okay.
So we're over there. We'll have this out on all the channels. We will have an article out in the next week or so. So anybody who's listening, good night, good morning, goodbye. See you on the next one. But Ian, thanks so much for coming today.
Thanks, John.
Really appreciate it.